Hello guys, this is Adit. Welcome to my channel Movement Science where I simplify biomechanics with Joe. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing because I simplify biomechanics here and also talk about lot of ortho topics and lot of clinical applications which you can use in your daily practice. Also check me out on Instagram where I post daily MCQs and also pictures of my notes. The reference time for all the topics that I'm going to cover will be mentioned down in the description. So without any further ado, let's dive into the topic. In this video, we are going to study about the glenohumeral ligaments, which is the second part of the glenohumeral joint structure. Last video, we covered the articulating surfaces. So let's look at the stabilizing structures in the glenohumeral joint. So to start with, there is a capsule around the glenohumeral joint, and this capsule is reinforced by your three ligaments. And before we start with our ligaments, I would like to tell you more about the capsule. So the capsule has a very large area. That's why it does not provide much stability because it allows a lot of distraction to occur at your glenohumeral joint. This capsule can go taut during abduction and external rotation at your shoulder joint, right? So this is a close pack position of your shoulder joint. That means there is minimal space inside your shoulder joint with abduction and external rotation. So with this brief introduction to capsule, let us move on to the glenohumeral joint ligaments. So there are three main ligaments, and then after that there is also the coracohumeral ligament, and finally we will be talking about the coracoacromial arch. So to begin with the first three important ligaments, there is the superior, middle and inferior glenohumeral ligaments. That is, these ligaments join the glenoid to your humerus. So the superior ligament is taut, whereas the middle and the inferior ligament, they are very lax. Starting with the superior glenohumeral ligament, it is connected proximally to the superior portion of your glenoid labrum and then distally to the neck of the humerus, that is the upper part. So if you see the superior part of your glenoid labrum, and then it goes and attaches to the neck of the humerus, right? So this is your superior glenohumeral ligament, and it is a part of the rotator interval capsule. Now what is rotator interval capsule? It is basically the space that is formed between your subscapularis and supraspinatus tendon. Now subscapularis comes from here like this, from the anterior part of your scapula, and goes and attaches to your lesser tubercle, whereas the supraspinatus comes from the top part of your spinous process, so this part of your spinous process, and comes and attaches to your greater tubercle. So basically if you take the first muscle, it's present somewhere over here like this, and the second muscle which comes like this, the tendon of that muscle is present somewhere over here like this, at the lesser tubercle and at the greater tubercle. So the space that is formed between them is called as the rotator interval capsule. That is, this interval or the space between your rotator cuff muscles. Superior glenohumeral ligament is a part of your rotator interval capsule. The other parts of the rotator interval capsule are coracohumeral ligament and also the superior capsule. That is, the superior part of your capsule is also a part of your rotator interval capsule. So the superior glenohumeral ligament, it resists anterior and inferior translation. So if I try to pull the humerus anteriorly, it prevents that, and also inferior translation. If you see, inferior translation will be resisted by your superior glenohumeral ligament at 0 degree of abduction. Next is the middle glenohumeral ligament. This ligament is placed superiorly anteriorly to the labrum and then anterior to the proximal humerus below the superior glenohumeral ligament, that is the SGHL. So let's look at the attachment. So this was your superior glenohumeral attachment, right? Superior to the labrum. So slightly superior anteriorly is attachment of your middle glenohumeral ligament, and then it is attached right below your superior glenohumeral ligament somewhere over here at the neck, right? So this is your middle glenohumeral ligament. This ligament resists anterior translation with 45 degrees of abduction. So if you look at the ligament over here, it is attached like this. So at 45 degree of abduction, like this, it prevents your anterior translation of your humerus. It also blends with your capsule. Next, going to the inferior glenohumeral ligament. This ligament has a complex, that is the inferior glenohumeral ligament complex. Now, what is this complex? It means that there are more than one structure present in this ligament. So there is the anterior part, there is the posterior part, and then there is the axillary pouch. So if you take the humerus, this is the anterior part of the humerus, because the head is over here, right, facing medially. So the anterior part is here. So if you look at it inferiorly, that is the inferior, right? So you are looking at the humerus inferiorly. There is the axillary pouch in middle, and then the other two is the anterior and the posterior. So what these do is they go and attach to your inferior part of your glenoid. So your glenoid will be like this, and they go and attach over here like this. So the anterior part of the inferior glenohumeral ligament complex, what it does is it prevents abduction and external rotation. So abduction and external rotation will be resisted by your inferior glenohumeral ligament, that is the anterior part of your inferior glenohumeral ligament. Whereas the posteriorly, the one which attaches posteriorly, what it will prevent? It will prevent abduction, that is abduction and internal rotation, right? So abduction and internal rotation will be prevented by your posterior part. So these were the three glenohumeral ligament. Now let us move on to the coracohumeral ligament and the coracoacromial arch. So now let's talk about the coracoacromial arch and the coracohumeral ligament. First we'll start with the coracohumeral ligament. So this ligament has two bands, and one band goes and attaches to your greater tubercle, whereas the other band goes and attaches to your lesser tubercle, and both of them start from your inferior part of your coracoid process. So both the ligaments start from the inferior part of the coracoid process, and then they go and attach to your greater and lesser tubercle. So over here and here, right? So this is how they attach. And then if you see, I mentioned that they form a tunnel through which the biceps tendon passes. So this, if you can see, is the bicipital groove through which the biceps tendon comes like this. It passes through the tunnel formed by the two bands of the coracohumeral ligament. It goes and then attaches to your superior part of your glenoid labrum, right? Now, what does this ligament prevent? It prevents inferior translation when the arm is in dependent position, that is when you are just keeping your arm relaxed and the gravity is acting downwards on it. It prevents inferior translation. It also prevents superior translation when the dynamic stability of your rotator cuff is impaired. Rotator cuff gives you a stability to your glenohumeral joint, and if it is not provided properly, there can be excessive superior translation of your humerus, which will be again prevented by your coracohumeral ligament. And then finally, it also prevents humeral external rotation when it is in abduction. When your arm is in abduction and when you are going for external rotation, it will prevent that too. So superior, inferior, and abduction with external rotation is prevented by your coracohumeral ligament, and it also forms a tunnel for your biceps tendon. Coming to the last point, the coracoacromial arch. So this is basically a osteoligamentous vault that is formed between your coracoid process, acromion, and the coracoacromial ligament. Let's look at this. So basically this is your coracoid process, right? And this is your acromion. So the arch is formed between your coracoid process and your acromion, that is the coracoacromial arch. So what does it do? It forms a space for your rotator cuff and biceps tendon, and it also protects them. So protection and formation of the space. So if you see, this space is formed for your biceps tendon, like your biceps tendon comes from your humerus, right? Like this, and goes and attaches over here. So it forms the space for your biceps tendon and also all the rotator cuffs coming from here and attaching to your humerus. So the space is formed by it, and it also protects them, because if there is some superior force coming from top, it will block all these tendons that are passing underneath, tendons and other important structures that are that are passing underneath this coracoacromial arch. It is also responsible for your subacromial impingement. This word could be the most important word that could have taken in this video till now. This is very important clinically as well as in an examination point of view. In the next video, we will be talking about subacromial impingement, what it is and why it is important. One of the most common conditions related to shoulder is shoulder impingement, where all the structures below your coracoacromial arch gets impinged. There are so many structures that pass underneath this structure, so impingement is very common shoulder pathology. So knowing about the coracoacromial arch is very important. We'll talk about the impingement in depth in our next video, so stay tuned for that. And now let's summarize the topic. So we talked about the superior, middle and inferior glenohumeral ligaments. The superior one is taut, whereas the middle and inferior is lax. Superior prevents anterior and inferior translation, whereas the middle prevents anterior translation at 45 degree of abduction, and inferior prevents internal and external rotation at abduction of your shoulder joint. Then we went to the coracohumeral ligament, where they form a tunnel for the passage of biceps tendon, and they prevent superior translation, inferior translation and also humeral external rotation. And then finally we talked about the coracoacromial arch, how it forms a space and also protects the tendons which pass underneath. And we also got introduced to the subacromial impingement, which we will be talking in detail in our further video. That's all for today guys. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Also let me know in the comment section what other videos you would like me to cover. Thank you for watching.